The lure of coffee and donuts has been profound on this group. So at the end of the first session this morning, we had to erect a lost and found. So someone with a phone that has a silver glittery case on it and has a friend named Gina Haug who messaged them, has left their phone in the room, and it is back at the video production table. So if that's your phone, that's where you find it. If someone mentions to you, those of you that are in the room, if someone mentions to you, I lost my phone, you can tell them there was an announcement made about it when you weren't in the room. So I'm going to turn the podium over to Jason Ellis for a few more awards.
Good morning, and thank you, Marty. Welcome back. For those of you that are here with us this morning, we're going to start with some innovation and extension session presentations. We're going to continue on with our awards presentation. You notice we're changing things up from last year and engaging with those that have done stellar work throughout the system throughout our annual conference. I do want to make an announcement for everybody that's been recognized today that'll be receiving any awards, or those that were previously recognized for service. Dan Donner, staff photographer, will be here about 11:15, 11:30 if you refer to your digital agenda. There is a time slot that we have available that he will be around to take photos if you're interested, and Dean Minton will be available as well to join in those photos. So if you receive an award today and would like to get a photo with Dean Minton in recognition of your honor, come down front during that time slot right before we dismiss for lunch on your own for that. I'd like to ask if Elizabeth Brunsheen Cartagena would please come forward. So the Diversity Award recognizes an individual or a team who has embraced and demonstrated commitment to diversity in K-State Research and Extension's programming, its workforce, and its partnerships. Liz regularly uses her skills, her experiences, and passion for extension to connect members of Sedgwick County's Hispanic community with the programs and resources of K-State Research and Extension. She has collaborated with others to support and create events to help improve the lives of everyone of her community, regardless of ethnicity or language barriers. Liz, please come forward. Let's give Liz a big round of applause. And would Tara Markley please come forward? The Mentor Award is presented to an individual who has served as a model and a guide for their peers. Tara has used her experiences, connections, and resources to help new employees navigate their first years with KSRE. Her friendliness, her patience, and her perspective has helped ease the often overwhelming introduction to being a K-State Research and Extension employee. Please help me again in congratulating Tara for this year's Outstanding Mentor Award. And we're pleased to be able to present 2 of the team awards this year. I would like to ask if all of the members of the Kansas Agricultural Mediation Service to please stand where you are. The Kansas Agricultural Mediation Services has been providing legal, financial, and mediation services to Kansas producers for more than 25 years. The education and services provided by this group have helped farmers and ranchers meet critical needs, and by doing so, has strengthened Kansas families, communities, and food systems. Congratulations very much, CAM members. The Culture of Health team. Would all the members of the Culture of Health team please stand? The Culture of Health team is working to improve the health of Kansas communities at a grassroots level. They are focused on using individual, family, and community-level interventions to promote community-tailored health conversations and strategies. Please help me in congratulating the Culture of Health team. And for those team award recipients, there are awards for you on the table in the lobby. So as you exit towards lunch, I'd ask that you stop by and pick up your respective awards for your individuals for your team efforts. Again, congratulations to all of today's award winners and 10-year award recipients, as Greg introduced before our break. Again, if you received an award and haven't picked it up, those from earlier today, those will be in the forum hall out there as well. I do have one other set of awards that I'd like to announce, as I promised yesterday. Trivia awards from last night. All right, I haven't run any statistics on the individual categories, but just my gut feeling was that we were a little stronger in some areas than in water. Just throwing that out there. Might be an area for some professional development this year. So I'm going to start with, I'll just introduce the team names, third place through first place, and then I'll ask that the captain of the first place team come forward. I have a bag of awards that you can present to your team, and if for some reason you can't remember who was on your team, I have the roster, so you can take that and track them down as well. All right, and by the way, the tiebreaker was not needed to separate the top groups. So third place team with a score of 19 out of 25 was the Well-Rounded Cats. And they probably should be deducted points because they didn't put a captain on their sheet. But it's all right, they're third place.
Disqualification.
We could pull a DQ, we'll throw a red flag and challenge that maybe. Second place team with a score of 20 out of 25 was the upstairs number 1 team at table 26, captain of Leah Robinson. And the first place team with the score of 21 out of 25 in the 5 rounds of regular play was table 20, the 2020 Vision team with a captain of Becky Reed. And just so you know, Becky's team will be receiving K-State Research and Extension retractable tape measures so they can see how they measure up against the rest, but I think they probably have a good idea.
Yes.
And they'll also be receiving K-State Research and Extension gloves with the technology finger because we're here about innovation, and this way I think maybe this team's a little too hot to handle. So.
Oh. You know it. Thank you very much. Yes.
So one of the things we also noticed, we had a fourth question that was thrown out there on the tiebreaker category. And for those of you that weren't able to join us, the question was, what does the dog that accompanied Lewis and Clark on their expedition have in common with Extension? So there was some innovation that took place in those responses. I thought I'd share a couple of those with you today. But first off, there were 3 teams that I give them effort points because it was somewhat obvious they were clueless, but apparently they were trying to suck up to Greg because Farley was mentioned 3 times out of the responses that were on there. But there were also 3 teams that got the answer right. And the answer, if you weren't there, was the dog's name was Seaman, and the founder, director, innovator of Extension was Seaman Knapp. There you go. But some of the other ones that I thought were very intriguing, and they go along really well with our theme of innovation and where Extension has come. And I really got to thinking about this with Dean Buchholz's presentation earlier with the curve and thinking about the uprise, but then also the downfall on that curve. And those that I think were on the forefront of that curve said that their response was that, quote, it ventured into uncharted territory, which I think is very appropriate both for the dog and Extension. They also said that it was a pioneer, kind of along this uncharted territories. They also said that he was a, quote, service-oriented dog. I think if we look at kind of this unbiased role that Extension plays in helping us navigate through challenging conversations with complex topics, The dog was a trusted source of information. I think maybe if he's barking, we don't second guess at that point. But I think maybe there's some responses here that kind of illustrate possibly where some of us might be having a feeling of where extension could be at on the downhill slide of that curve, and where we need to maybe make that leap in innovation of going forward and jumping up to that next curve to get on the beginning of the front of the side of the S curve there. And one response was that it was lost. Or maybe the fact that the dog and extension are the best kept secret that's out there. And I think one that also might show up, and I'm sorry that Provost Tabor maybe wasn't necessarily here to hear this last one, but the dog was overworked and underpaid. And so I applaud you all for your innovation. I applaud you all for your engagement last night in the trivia night. And I think this sets the stage really well for what we've got planned for the rest of today for annual conference and moving into tomorrow as well, with conversations of how do we apply these ideas of innovation. And I think this idea of that, an environment where failure is an option, because that's showing that we're thinking outside of our box and we're jumping into the fire. And I know Marty mentioned earlier that he wants to be outside of the box, but I like to state that I'd rather be the box. I'd rather be that standard that everybody's trying to be different than, the one that they're trying to leap forward and trying to stretch beyond. And with that, I think Greg is going to come forward and introduce us into our next presentation that we have this morning, that's really going to start those creative juices thinking, get us really thinking about this idea of what is innovation? How do we innovate for a changing world within K-State Research and Extension in our roles at the various levels throughout the system? So with that, I'll turn it over to Greg for introductions of our next speaker.
Thank you, Jason. When Marty and I were talking about who's going to introduce our next speaker, Marty goes, "Well, you know him the best, so you go ahead and introduce him." And I have to say that Paul and I go way back. We've been best friends for about 6 months now, and. But I think you're really in for a treat with Paul Hill. Paul Hill comes to us from Utah State University. He is a county director and county extension educator in Washington County there, where he does eco-devo work, and I also believe a little STEM work as well. And we came across Paul. He was the keynote speaker at the PILD conference, which some of you in your professional association's capacity got to go and attend with us. And for those of you in professional associations, get into those leadership positions so that you can go to PILD conference. It's a great experience. And Paul's experience there was memorable. So here you are, the keynote speaker for about 400 extension professionals, and it's your turn to go, and Washington, D.C. has a citywide blackout. And so Paul is there going to talk about innovation, and his entire presentation had to be changed on the fly because he couldn't deliver it via technology. And that was so good that Susan's shaking her head, that was so good that everybody from our contingent came up to me and said, "We've got to get Paul to talk about innovation at this conference." And in fact, it was so good, I've tried to pay Debbie some money to make sure we have a power outage right as he comes on. But she says she's not going to do that. But anyway, Paul Hill is a great extension professional. He comes from a great extension system that is being innovative. They are getting lots of accolades for their remote work program. They're getting lots of accolades for getting curriculum into video and their use of social media and other media sources in getting curriculum out to the people that need it. He is the author, the co-author, along with Keith Smith, a former director, the book that we handed out to you called The Innovative Imperative. I'm hoping I'm the biggest buyer now of this book. Okay, Paul says, yes, I am, because you should all have a copy of this. And if you haven't gotten the chance to read it, it's a short read, it's a quick read, but every page has valuable content in it. So definitely take a look at it. But with that, we are going to talk about innovation. You will learn more about high jumping than you've ever known before. And with that, we're going to bring up Paul Hill.
How's everyone doing? Awesome. I'm loving the purple. I love the color purple, and let's see here. And it's just cool to see like so much of it, and everyone's wearing it. Like we don't do that in Utah. We don't wear like the Aggie blue or anything like that. So it's great to see so much pride and excitement for your land-grant university. So just a little bit about me. I came to Utah State University. I had a small business, and I was a 4-H volunteer. And I love that. And eventually I was running this business, and it sold, and I kind of just was like, cool, I'll spend more time volunteering for 4-H. And then the county agent, and I didn't know what a land-grant university was. I didn't really know what 4-H was. I just knew that I could organize kids and teach them some business skills and some entrepreneurship and really mentor them and have meaningful relationships. They could turn projects and their designs. They would make T-shirts at my shop, and they would enter these things in the fair, and they'd get awards, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then they were like, hey, I need help building my resume. I'm like, oh, I can help you with that. And it was just a great experience. And next thing I know, the extension faculty were saying, hey, we've got an opening here, why don't you work here? And then here I am 8 years later, just loving extension, being involved in my community as I was as a volunteer, involved in economic development, and recruiting businesses and really stimulating the economy in my local community was great, but it was like this uphill battle. But once I had the support of Extension and my land-grant university as a faculty, things just have taken off. And so it's somewhere I never planned to be, but I absolutely love it, and I'm glad I accidentally found Extension. And being part of Extension is like being on this big team. And then going to, like last week we were at ESP, at Epsilon Sigma Phi, and all of the Extension system is just really one big team. And I love that about everyone in Extension. Is anytime you need help, there's someone there who's been there, who's done that, who can help you. That book, that project that I worked on with Keith Smith, he's a director in Ohio, and I reached out to him because I needed some advice, and he, a director at Ohio, the Ohio State. Is any Buckeyes out there? And he took the time to really help and mentor me. And then next thing I know, we're working together on this ECOP project, and then turning our content into a little book that we thought a few people might read. So thanks, Greg, for spreading the word. But in talking about teams, I want to talk about a high jumper named Richard. So it was the early 1960s, and this is in Oregon, and Richard was a high jumper. He was 10th grade. He had just made the team, just made the high school track and field team. And the way he did that was he used his technique for the high jump is he had to clear that 5'4" jump height. So he's right about there, he improves the scissors technique. And the scissors technique is, I'll show you, that's kind of an image of that. Let's see here. There it is. And with the scissors technique, you essentially, you have to lift 1 foot off the ground. And a little bit of history on the high jump is you got to get the first leg over, and then the next one, and the whole while you're kind of just like, it's a sitting motion. So I'll show you real quick. But as you're standing there approaching the bar, you kind of have to go over and get one leg. Clearly, I was not a high jumper in high school, but you get over, and all the while, like, I mean, you're having to get your center of gravity like well above that bar, and so a little history on the high jump is it's really quite dangerous. The way it started over 100 years ago is that jumpers would stand right next to the bar. And so they weren't running and approaching it. They'd stand right next to the bar, and then they'd leap over it as tall as they could. And you can see here, it's not very high. And then there was sawdust. We didn't have the pads like we do now. Safety wasn't that. OSHA wasn't there inspecting the games. But they would literally jump onto a bunch of sawdust. And then they started to realize. I mean, there was some innovation there. They were like, oh, let's see if I start running and approaching the bar, I can get a little bit higher. And then there was another innovation, whereas as you can see, it's the bar's gotten a lot higher. So there's another technique called the Western roll, and essentially with the Western roll, and then what came after that was a straddle. Is you're looking face down, you're going above the bar, but the difference is your center of gravity is a little bit lower, and you have to like look face down. And so Richard was like, okay, I've hit my 5-4. You know, this technique, the scissors technique, was successful in getting me to where I needed to be to make the team. And so as he progressed, he realized he was not a good Western roller, a straddler, and it was just getting harder and harder to hit the next level. And so so there's the sawdust there, the safe sawdust, and then that's a Western roll straddle technique. Any high jumpers? I'm just curious. Any high jumpers? Maybe a few of you. Cool. Which technique did you use? You started with scissors? Cool. Yeah, so there's these different techniques, and so as the innovation in the high jump kind of went on over time, Richard saw these techniques. He was not very good at them, and he realized he kind of had this dilemma where if he wanted to continue to be on this team, he needed to cross the 5-7 threshold. And so he tried the Western roll, he tried the straddle, he wasn't making it. And so he realized, like, I need to do something different. The techniques and the tools, the things that I use to get here to be successful are not going to be the things that help me continue to be successful as a high jumper. If I want to continue to do this on my high school team, he had plans to do this in college, and so if he wanted to continue doing this, he really needed to start making some changes. And so we've seen different techniques, but he was a lousy straddler. Western roll wasn't working, and so one day he decided, hey, what if I go over backwards? And you can kind of see here that that's what he's doing. And he wondered, what if I go over backwards? And so immediately he decided, okay, let's try that. Let's validate this. And so one afternoon practice, he increased his jump height by 6 inches, where in the previous months he was not able to increase even 1 inch. And so by trying these other techniques and failing, he was able to try, and then basically was almost in a position where he had to innovate or die. Innovate or he was off the team. And so he tried this technique, and it was like, okay, I think we need a little bit more sawdust. And he immediately started trying this, and he started having success. And he's like, well, this is what I have to do. I have to do this in order to stay on the team. And so he was able to stay on the team. And so he started doing this, 10th grade, 11th grade, his senior year. And all the while, he's being watched. And one way to know if you're innovating or not is if you have haters. Haters on the social media, or just people critiquing you, criticizing you. Other coaches would go up to the officials and say, hey, he's not allowed to do that. That's against the rules. That's against policy, right? And so he had this dilemma, and it was like, nope, it checks out. He can keep doing it. Except nobody copied him. Nobody was copying his technique. They were just being critical of him. And so he continued to work on this technique. I wouldn't even say that he perfected the technique. He didn't. What he did was he introduced this new technique. And if you had been at the Olympics in 1968, and we'll watch this a few times, the Mexico City Games, it was actually 51 years ago, so it was October 20th, 1968, and Richard Dick Fosbury, this is where he showed the world the Fosbury flop, okay? Now, the stakes were very high in the Olympics, on this Olympic stage. So people had seen this technique, only in Oregon. It had been kind of a local thing. This kid's really weird. Next thing we know, this 21-year-old, they described him as gangly, really tall. I mean, his nickname, he was like a two-legged camel. That's what people called him. They were like, he's like a two-legged camel. He's all leg. He's wearing these mismatched shoes. And, what's interesting about Fosbury is he didn't go to the opening ceremonies during the Olympics. He was like, well, I'm down in Mexico. I'm going to go check out the pyramids. And, he just camped. And I get, Oregon people, they just, let's go camping. And so he camped to check out the pyramids and missed the whole opening ceremonies and everything. And then he came to the games and then did this Fosbury flop. We'll see if I can go back just to show you again. Well, sorry, folks. I'll tweet it out. So he ends up winning the gold medal. And so no one had really seen this technique before. It had been done in Oregon. He comes to this main stage, and everyone was just mesmerized. They're like, oh my gosh, this guy just showed up and just did this, this weird thing, and they started calling it the flop, and then the Fosbury flop. And it was as if he just decided that day that he was going to do this new thing, where he's actually been perfecting and improving upon this technique and this idea for the last 3-4 years. So at this time, he's 21 years old. He's at Oregon State University. He's an engineering student. And so he kind of started to see the mechanics, connecting the dots between his engineering mindset and this jump. And so one thing that was interesting also about this is as your body approaches the bar, if you're standing up right now, my center of gravity is right here, right above right around my abdomen. Now, when you're approaching the bar and you're leaning backwards, your center of gravity changes. So if I'm actually bending over right now, is my center of gravity still at my abdomen? Any engineers? It's actually below my body. Well, that works the same as if it's behind you. And so while his body is actually sailing over the bar, his center of gravity is below the bar, which allows him to hit a greater height. And because of that, he won the gold medal. He never set the world record. He actually never went on to compete at another games. He was like, well, I'm done. That was great. Thanks for the medal. He went on, became an engineer, and he coached, and he still gave back. But we saw adoption. So it takes that one innovator, someone to almost give permission to say it's okay. And that's what we see a lot in extension is I hear a lot of administrators and they say, oh, I just wish our people would innovate more. I wish they felt like they were safe to fail. And then I'll hear my colleagues and say I would totally innovate. I can't afford to fail. I've got to get tenure. I don't have permission. I don't want to get fired. And I'm like, wait a sec. There's this disconnect. Leaders want us to innovate, but then we're kind of scared. And I almost feel like for extension, for faculty, for those of us in the county, it's kind of an excuse. I want to play it. I want to play it safe. And if I can blame, my leaders or others saying well, that's against policy. We can't do that. And we look for other ways to excuse ourselves from innovating, we're actually doing something even riskier than innovation. And what's the riskiest thing is a status quo and continuing to do what we always done. Dick Fosbury, he had to stop doing his scissors kick, the scissors. He couldn't do the Western roll, the straddle either. He had to stop doing those in order to start doing the Fosbury flop. And so, if you can kind of see here the way in which he's over the bar, his center of gravity is actually below the bar, and then his body is above it. And so, if we hadn't have discovered this technique, I mean, sure, someone else would have at the time, but I mean, this is discovered by a 10th grader, and then we went on to, I mean, there was a Cuban high jumper who, I think it was in the 70s, who left over 8 feet. We would have never even come close to 8 feet if we hadn't have first started saying, oh, let's run and approach the bar. Let's go over face first. Let's go over backwards and see what happens, and kind of poking the box and seeing what's possible. And so, what's interesting to note about the high jump and the history of the high jump, that happened in 1968. So the Fosbury flop, 1968. The first world record holder, so he didn't set the world record, but it wasn't until 5 years later that the first person to set the world record for the high jump used the Fosbury flop technique. So it wasn't like he did this and then everyone was like on board. He just sold it, right? Like it was done. They had a national association of high jumpers, and they went to a best practice session, because that's what we do in Extension. And we go to the best practice session. They showed it, and then we all walked out and started doing this new technique. That's not how it happened. There were skeptics. People still continued to do other techniques, and it wasn't until 1978, so 10 years later, that the last straddle holder held the world record. So every world record holder since 1978 has used the Fosbury flop technique to reach higher jump heights. And so, again, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes these kind of lone weirdos out there innovating and showing us the way, and then helping us all kind of feel safe to innovate, and showing that it's okay. And a lot of people saw that, oh yeah, this crazy guy just went over the bar backwards, but he had actually been working at this for some time in order to improve upon it. And so I want to share three key points about innovation with you today. And the first is that it's not about the stuff. Innovation is totally this mindset, this idea that you can try. That you don't need the technology. It's not about the technology. It's not about that you have the best smartphone to do your job. A lot of times we lean on that as a crutch. Oh, well, if I had more funding, I could innovate. If I had more technology, I could innovate. But I can't. I don't have that stuff, so I'll just keep doing the same old, which again, the status quo is the riskiest thing we can do. And so really what innovation looks like is, this is from my county. Has anyone been to Zion National Park? Anyone? A few of you. Cool. So this is, anyone know where this hike is? Angel's Landing, yep. And so a lot of times I'll ask people, like, what does innovation look like? And they'll draw like a light bulb, like it's this one idea. I think of Doc Brown, Back to the Future. How did he invent the flux capacitor? He was like standing on his toilet or something, and then he fell off in his head. And then he had the idea for the flux capacitor, which makes, thank you, cool. So it makes time travel possible, right? So he invented that. It was just like, boom, overnight. I think you've seen the movie The Social Network, the invention of Facebook. It was like as if like he just came up with the code overnight for Facebook. And a lot of people think like apps it's like, oh yeah, we invented this app and it's done. It's like, it's never done. Software is never done. Communities are never fully impacted. Everything's in development. And so the thing about the story of innovation is it always sounds really good when the hero and Hollywood, they just romanticize these stories of innovation. And it's like, oh, they put everything on the line. The Dick Fosbury story, they haven't made a movie about this yet, ever. I don't think they will. Because it's boring. He didn't just like one day, like he was down on his luck and he had one shot to win the gold medal, And so he's like, I'll just try to go backwards. And then he won the gold medal, and it's like, awesome story. It's like, it didn't happen that way. And a lot of things don't happen that way. And so, but it's hard to sell a movie when that's the story. So, but the real story of innovation is I liken it unto a journey, a hike with switchbacks. So Angel's Landing has a lot of switchbacks. And as you can see here, it's just like, you're making very little progress as you're going up this hike, and this is one of the most famous hikes in the world. And so I'm not going to tell you to come and hike this because Zion is incredibly crowded, and I don't even get to hike this, and I live like 30 minutes away because all of you keep coming to visit, and so I don't get to hike in my own backyard. But this is called Fat Man's Misery. It's another part of the hike, and this is legit. This is not a painting or anything. This is really there, and this is painful, and you're just not making a lot of progress, and you're just it's exhausting, and all the while you're like, I think I want to turn around and give up, and again, that's the story of innovation, folks. It's not glamorous. It's really hard, and the progress is slow. But and I would also say it's dangerous. So this is when you get to the top. I was up there a few years ago, and we get to a point called Observation Point. And if you're not from around there, or if you haven't really read and studied up, you're gonna think that it's the top of Angel's Landing. And you're like, oh, cool, I came here, and I made it to the top. All right, I'm going to go down now. Oh, no, you're not done. You have to go crawl on this really thin wall, essentially, and you're hanging on to these chains. And so I think these folks were from Switzerland, and they were like, oh, we made it to the top. And they're like, where are you guys going? And I was like, we're going to the top. And they're like, I thought this was the top. Nope, that's not the top. It's over here. And they were just like, nah, this is the top for us. I'm like, okay, well, you came all the way from Switzerland. You should probably come this way. So we helped them along, and they were like swearing in Swiss and things. And I think they hate me now, but they got this amazing view. You wouldn't, if you innovate, this is the reward. It's a view. It's the connection of dots, of thoughts. It's the mindset that gets you there, that helps sustain you, so you can have that view, that better perspective of what it really takes. And so this is the top of Angel's Landing. It's one of the most amazing, quiet places. Don't base jump off there. That's illegal. But people do it still all the time. So this is my county. I get to serve these folks, and so a lot of times with failure, it's like if you're ruling out failure as an option, you're ruling out success. It's incredibly hard to innovate and to fail so often and not to get discouraged, but it's part of the process. And you don't have innovation without failure. It goes hand in hand. It's not like you can show up and knock a home run out every single time. And so I hope throughout this conference you start to feel like that's okay. It's okay to fail. But with back to Dick Fosbury, he failed when the stakes were low. He didn't show up to the games. Again, he didn't show up to the games with his wild new idea. He started when the stakes were low, when he felt like he could make a mistake. I mean, he was practicing, and then he started using it at various track meets, and then and started having success. And so the next message is, first it's a mindset, but it's hard and it requires change. And what's so funny about change is that every single person who set a world record in the high jump, I mean, not so much now, but before, in order to set that world record, in order to win in the Olympics, they had to start using the Fosbury flop, which means they had to stop using the scissors or the Western roll or the straddle or whatever technique that got them there to become a world-class performer as a high jumper, they relied on these techniques. They were the ones that they were taught in school. Their coaches taught them. It was tradition. It was the status quo way of working. It was just, the definition of status quo is it's just the way we do things around here, or we tried that before and it didn't work. And so kind of a negative concept, but and it almost kind of discriminates against people who want to innovate. But in order to innovate, in order to do something new, that means we have to stop doing something that's old. And the biggest thing that if the message you get from this conference and from this message is, well, I don't have time to innovate, then you've missed the point. Because a lot of times, like, I'll hear, oh, we need to innovate, and we say that in Utah, you guys need to be more innovative. And what do we all think? Oh, well, how am I going to do that too? It's like I don't have enough to do. I'm already so busy. I've got all these other programs, you really have to realize that you have to stop doing something in order to make room for innovation, to make space for innovation, which means you might need to kill a program. You might need to hand it off to volunteer. You might need to look for a grant to then fund somebody else, or be creative in ways. Like you start talking about killing programs and people are like, whoa, I'm like, someone's going to start throwing books at me and stuff. So the way that you make space for innovation is up to you. But generally, I kind of start with the question, will they miss it if it was gone? Will they miss this, this particular program? There was, and I'm all for marriage enrichment courses and classes and things that we teach in Extension. But one of our faculty, there was she'd been doing this for 15 years, and every time she did it, it just got progressively smaller. Every workshop she taught, less and less people were doing it. But yet our needs assessments were saying more and more people want online. They want video. They want on-demand, extension on demand. That's what they wanted. And it was and yet we keep, holding our marriage classes in the evenings, on a Wednesday night, and it's less and less people are showing up. And so, but it was she would not let this program die. She would not change the program. She would not adjust it. She would not retire because, well, who's going to do this program? And now she's comfortably enjoying retirement, because what we did was we put together an online course that allowed people to learn marriage communication skills all on demand from their phone, wherever they were. And we started, and you can actually count the metrics and what time people are participating in the demographics. And we were reaching a more diverse audience and having greater impacts and outcomes because of that change and that innovation, which then freed up space to innovate more. And for her, she got to retire, so that was good. That was good for me, actually. So again, if you rule out failure, you're also ruling out innovation. And so, but it starts with seeing things differently. So it's not just doing things differently. You have to start to see things differently. So you look at these bats. They're just cute little bats hanging out, getting ready for bed. And as soon as you kind of look at them differently, all of a sudden they're pretty badass, right? They're getting ready to dance to Michael Jackson's Thriller. And so, but if we can't learn to see things differently, then we're just destined for a lot of really expensive mistakes. And what do really expensive mistakes look like? Well, they look like focusing on a retail business in the world of Amazon. And a lot of times we think that it is this disruption, that technology disrupted retail. I haven't been to the mall since I was in my teens, 20s, I don't know. It's been so long, I have no idea. I think there is a mall still in my community. There's probably still malls and places like that. But it's so convenient and easy to order on Amazon. And a lot of times we think it's the technology as the disruptor. Technology is what is disrupting our world today. But it's really not. It's the complacency and the detachment from clients, from our customers, of what people really want. we don't really want to go to a store and experience bad customer service. I would go to a store just like we go to some restaurants that are really good because they give great service. And it's not so much the food, it's as much it is the service. And so that's our challenge. It's this fixed mindset. We get in this fixed mindset and we're focused on efficiency. We're focused on doing what we did before, just a little bit faster, a little bit less expensive. And I know that, I mean, working in a production, business, having a production business, it was like, how can we do this better, faster, cheaper, and still, be competitive? And it was like, we're going to get disrupted if we don't change. And so we look at like what Amazon's doing, what Walmart's doing. It's like we're not just relying on those physical places anymore. We're trying to figure out what does the client want, what do the people want. If we're not doing our needs assessments, if we're not figuring out and talking to people and empathizing with them about what they want and adjusting our programs accordingly, we're going to end up just like our retailers are suffering. And that's the thing, is like, when was the last time you went to Blockbuster? Do you have Blockbuster here? Is there one? Is there video stores? Blockbuster is still alive and well in Alaska, just so you know. There's like two of them. But that's the thing is you look at Netflix. Netflix had the opportunity to present what they were planning to Blockbuster, and the CEO's like, nah, if it ever comes to that, if people really want to watch movies in their home, in their bed at night, Netflix and chill, right? If they really want to do that, then we'll just buy you when the time comes. And yeah, it didn't work out so well. I mean, this is essentially Blockbuster, invested in like 500 horses when Henry Ford started his assembly line. But Netflix didn't just defeat Blockbuster with their streaming service. It actually started long before that when Netflix, who remembers, I don't know, does Netflix still do the DVD mail order? Yes, they do. Someone said, you do that still? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to be more productive with your Wi-Fi in rural Kansas. You can't just be streaming all day. So they had this mail order system, and it was great. Like, as long as you could wait a couple days, you could get the DVD you wanted. And it wasn't like they charged you for being late. You just mailed it back, and then you could pick the next one. So if you wanted a new movie, you could hold on to it as long as you wanted. But I don't know how long you really want to hold on to like a scratched up DVD, because that was a downside of that. Is like 50 other people have watched the movie that Back to the Future, and it was all scratched up. So Blockbuster, they lost touch with what their customers wanted. Their customers, well, I'll tell you the few things they didn't want. And this is my experience. It was like, I remember like sitting at home and mom's like, we got to get in the car. She checks the clock. We got to get in the car now. Grab the movies. We're going to get charged a late fee. And it was like, we rush over across town in our brown station wagon, which is the coolest ride ever, with your mom in like middle school. And we get there, and it's like, all right, we shove the movie in the slot, and we're like, okay, good. And it was like, hey, Mom, well, while we're here, can I get a movie? It was like, yeah, sure, okay. And so we do, and when we get through the line, and then it's like $3 for 3 days, I think. And we get through the line, and then all of a sudden, beep, beep. What happened? I forgot to rewind the cassette. So some of you who are new here, you have to rewind the plastic cartridge. You had to rewind this thing, and then we had to pay an extra $1 for not rewinding it. And it's like, if my mom looked at me like, you are so dead right now. So there's my Blockbuster story. But that's what we had. That's what we dealt with. That's not what we wanted. And so when presented with a new option, with entrepreneurs, people who are entrepreneurially minded, innovators that said, hey, I have a better solution, we're all over Netflix. And then it's like the streaming service. What I really want to see is what happens with Disney Plus. Who's excited for Disney Plus? Yes. So how's Netflix going to adjust to Disney Plus? Because right now, I think the only thing going for Netflix is Stranger Things right now. I don't know. You probably have. I can't find anything on there that I like other than Stranger Things. The next thing is Uber. I mean, I used to think Uber sold transportation, but they actually were selling me time, this perception of time. Like, oh, I'm going to save money because I can like literally call this person on my phone versus like having to call some cryptic number and then you can't really understand someone and then they're sending this random person to you. They're still sending a random person to you, but at least like you can check their profile and have a little bit more information and know that you might not, be taken somewhere you don't want to go. But Uber, they solve this issue of like limiting the number of taxis in an area, fare control, all these problems that wasn't what we wanted as consumers, and Uber solved that, Lyft solved that, and they solved that through a process of innovation. And then we look at the music industry, and I live in a day, I grew up in a day where we had patience, where we would listen to the whole album because we paid $12 for it. And you didn't, if you invested in Weezer or Green Day and you listened to that whole album because you had to. Plus it was hard to like rewind the cassette. I mean, I was stoked when CDs came out. You could just like press a button. It was like awesome. And then I hear about people who had 8 tracks and they're like, I guess with 8 tracks you couldn't really rewind them or something. I don't know. Some of you are like, about 8 tracks. I don't know about 8 tracks. But nowadays, I feel like kids, they don't even listen to the whole song. They have I have like an album, I'd be like, oh yeah, number 3 and 4 on that album were really good. Like I had a few songs. Now kids are like, oh, I like this part of a song. Like listen to the whole song. I mean, you paid $1 for it. Goodness gracious. But that's not what we wanted. Did Apple's technology disrupt the music industry? No, Apple listened to what the consumers wanted and gave it to them. And in so doing, then they had to then create the technology. I mean, and what's great about what we have today is we have the technology. We have the technology available to us, almost open source or for very minimal pricing, that we can take our extension programs and bring them to the people the way they want to be reached. And so, again, we can get efficient and get locked into that fixed mindset and focus on doing what we've always done in the status quo, when actually that's the riskiest thing that Blockbuster could do. And then we get into Airbnb. I guarantee you that the CEOs of Marriott and Hyatt and Holiday Inn and all these other companies, in their annual meetings when they're talking to their boards, they weren't saying, yeah, I'm really worried about what Bill's doing down the street here. He's renting out his couch in his basement. So they weren't worried about that in 2010. Now, I mean, not too long later, they're competing against vacation rentals. It's taking a cut. I mean, I live in a community where the community's so, trying to get people to Zion National Park or the World Senior Games, and there's like races and things. And so people are coming in and they do stay in hotels, and hotels will continue to have their purpose. But there's certain types of people who feel okay with staying in a stranger's house or riding in a stranger's car. And I was always kind of taught those things were bad, but then here I am, like getting into a stranger's car, staying in a stranger's house from time to time, and paying them very well for that. And if you want to have a really awesome Disneyland experience, like the Airbnbs are just amazing. Like you go into someone's like house and they've decorated it for like Disney stuff and the kids love it. I mean, it's awesome. But Airbnb presented another option. They figured out what people wanted first, and then they built what they wanted. And so a lot of times we think that technology is a disruptor when technology is really the enabler. We just need to get over ourselves and our fixed mindset. And then the last thing I wanted to share was the fact that innovation is a process. And because it's a process, that means it can be learned. That means that everyone here can start innovating. A lot of times, though, it's been like it's just like so mystic. Like, well, how do you do it? Well, so-and-so's doing something. Like, what are you doing? And so I want to demystify the process. And so it's really important to know that because it's a process, we can learn it. And a lot of times what we think we do like we think because we're so used to, we're the experts, right? We're the experts. People come to us, and it's like, oh, a lot of people haven't, like, I'll tell you right now, no one comes in my office. Like, that's just not what people do. Maybe in Kansas, the culture is different, but in where I'm at, in a semi-rural county, and that's becoming more and more urbanized, people don't come into the extension office. I get a Google alert every time someone like uses Google Maps for directions to my office. And I don't get that alert very often. I get more alerts that like my wife's buying Amazon things. But because we're experts and we're efficient, and we have, a lot of times when you have a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail. And so we start to see things through that lens, and we're like, oh yeah, that'll work. Let's just make a program for that. But I mean, if you start paying attention these last few years, at least, we've started to see new problems where we're in search of best practices. We don't have best practices. We don't have solutions for a lot of the new problems that we're facing, and so we're actually in search of solutions. And being in search of a solution is a lot different. It requires a whole different growth mindset that Dr. Carol Dweck in Stanford, she's written a lot about the growth and fixed mindset, which I'll also talk about. But I'm looking at critical issues of climate change. We have terrible wildfires across our state. And I mean, some of these are the things you're dealing with as well. Food deserts, computer science education with our kids needing to be workforce ready, and the more and more push to have computer science integrated into our curriculum. The competitiveness of our rural communities, that's something I focus on day in and day out, is how are we going to save our rural communities? How are we going to preserve the soul of our states with these rural communities as young people are leaving? It's just the brain drain and net migration to rural to urban centers. And then you look at intergenerational poverty, and it's just the cycle continues, and it's even worse in our rural communities. And then we've got our opioid epidemic. That's it's existed. It's just gotten a lot worse, at least in my state. And so these are all problems that we don't have best practices for. We don't have we have a program for that. I love Ohio. I'm back to the Ohio State. They have that mental health first aid. What an innovative program that we were started adopting. You might be involved in that as well. But you can't use these old techniques. You got to take the hammer and put it down and grab another tool to solve these new problems. We would have never crossed that 8-foot, 7-foot, 6-foot high jump if we had always used what we've always do what we've always done. And so eventually we're going to fail to make a difference. And failure's fine, but perpetual failure, I mean, that's what happens. That's all of a sudden you start losing funding and underperforming. And so, eventually we're going to fail to make a difference with with the status quo way of working. And so again, innovation is a process, and it demands that we change and we learn that process. And so innovation, essentially, I guess the bar has been raised, right? So just like the high jump, the bar has been raised, and we can't. We have to remember that innovation is not efficient. And so a lot of times we want efficiency. We're always like, bigger, faster, stronger. We want efficiency, but innovation is clearly not efficient. And back to the switchbacks. It's very hard to feel like you're making progress when you've got I'm trying to innovate, but it's like I've got this. In Utah we've got this tenure thing. It's like 6 years. You got to show trajectory, and you got to do that, and it's like. It's tough, and it's kind of, a lot of times I hear it's kind of presumptuous, I'll be innovative after I get promoted or tenure or whatever, and it's it's kind of presumptuous to think that, I'll just be successful, I just won't make any mistakes, I'll just do everything perfectly, and then I'll really innovate when I get tenure. But the bar is set higher, and so innovation, it demands that we harness our creativity and start using new methods to help us think and see things differently, and then start working differently to uncover these hidden opportunities and these new ways to solve new problems. And so one little self-check here is uncertainty and how we deal with uncertainty. And so with a fixed mindset, you're going to this is a good way to just kind of check yourself. But where am I at with a fixed mindset? And a fixed mindset's not bad, but it does stifle innovation. And a lot of times we fear uncertainty. And that's one thing to be careful of, is to place big bets slowly. Dick Fosbury, he innovated immediately as soon as he had the idea. He started validating early on. And so he, instead of sitting in his office and trying to analyze all the data and make sure you design the perfect program before it's even touched anyone. And so with a growth mindset, you're accepting uncertainty and then placing a lot of small bets quickly and failing and iterating and pivoting. And that's when it comes to new experiences. People with a fixed mindset are going to avoid the new experience. They're going to manage risk through analysis, which again, analysis is good, and so is understanding data. But when it comes to growth mindset and seeking out the new, you're going to manage your risk by taking actions. After you've analyzed the data, go in and start taking action, testing, iterating, and really develop empathy for the end user. What do these people want? And understand what the services and how you need to adapt to serve them. This status quo way of working has kind of led us into this way of working where we come up with an idea, we get really romantic about that idea. It's like this is my idea, this is my baby program, I got to keep this going. We seek funding and then we do the work. So we seek funding and we do the work, and then evaluate, and maybe we have impact, and maybe we have failure, maybe we have a little bit of both. We sweep the failures under the rug because that's not going to help us get tenure, or that's not going to help us, get the next round of funding. And then we, sometimes we find out it's a failure, and then it's like we put in all that work. Couldn't we have, maybe known a little sooner? And so with lean experimentation and this process for innovation, and what all these innovators at Uber, at Airbnb, at Amazon, what they use to innovate, and this is the process. And so you start out with a lot of ideas. What do the people want? You bring in people with different, your stakeholders, and people with different mindsets, and just see the world differently. And you come in and you evaluate and you validate. And validation doesn't happen in the office. Validation happens outside the office, talking to people you haven't talked to before. If I build this, will you come? Will you show up? And then the work starts with failure. We are testing, we're iterating, we're pivoting, and we're sometimes, we fail, and then we go back to the ideas and we try something new, and then we validate that, and we start to get traction, and then we start making these micro impacts, and these micro impacts will help us with funding. So instead of seeking the funding to then validate the idea, we're seeking funding to scale the impact, because we've already made that micro impact. And then at that point, impact's inevitable because we've failed earlier on when the stakes were low. Instead of creating that perfect program that we're going to get 700 people to, we're going to fill this whole room, and by golly, we're going to change everyone's lives. Okay, well, let's start with 2 people and see how that goes, and then start scaling up from there. And what I love about what you're doing here is that someone had an idea. It was like, hey, we're not engaging people at the state fair like we used to. Let's try something. Let's test something. And so, I'm going to steal this idea because we're experiencing the same thing in Utah. People don't want to, faculty, staff, they don't want to man a booth. Here's a printed materials that you're going to throw away. This, I love this idea, and it's like a new way to engage people. So whoever came up with this, it's probably many of you, and we're involved in this. Look for the next thing. What's the next thing? How are you going to step it up from there and to make it better, and then share it, because this is something, there's innovators in this room that I can learn from and that can help other states and present on this, and then gather data and see how you can further iterate and improve. You're never done. And so looking at the status quo versus lean experimentation, instead of seeking out just one idea and falling in love with it as we do because we're the experts, start out with many ideas involving many people, and keep those ideas, log those ideas, put them on Post-it notes and put them on the wall, and then instead of seeking funding, start validating and evaluating your program earlier on, and validating to make sure you have traction before you start investing your most non-renewable resources, your time. And then as you put in the work, instead of putting in that perfect work for that perfect program that the data says that you need to do it this way, start failing earlier on when the stakes were low. Test that high jump, test that new technique, see if it works. Pivot, change as you go on, and you might have to go back to the drawing board. But instead of then evaluating to find out if you're going to be, if you're going to fail or have impact, you're seeking funding to scale up the micro impact that you already have had earlier on when you failed when the stakes were low and you had success when the stakes were low. And then seek your funding. I mean, grant proposals are so much better when you've actually pilot tested something. It's awesome. And so, and then at that point, your impact's inevitable. So finally, I'll leave you with innovation. It's a mindset. It's not about the stuff. It's not about taking huge risk when the stakes are really high. It is a complete mindset, and you have to see the world differently. And it demands that we change. We have to stop doing the old things in order to do the new things, to innovate out some of the old things and create space for yourself. You have permission to stop doing some things so that you have time and energy and the capacity to innovate. And that it's a process. It can be learned, that everyone here can start applying this to little things and big things. And so that's what I'll leave you with. And you can tweet me if you have any questions. But I have some time now, so like 2 minutes.
All right, Paul is correct that on the schedule it says 2 minutes, but the next 15 were just me and Marty. And so we're going to extend this opportunity. We've got Paul here, and we want you to ask him a lot of questions. I'll just say this: if you like that presentation, you should see it in the dark. It is really, really good. So questions for Paul, and make sure you come up and ask with the mic so that we can get it recorded for the virtual audience.
Happy to answer any questions about Netflix episodes. You should check out the Explain documentary. That one's pretty good. Yeah.
Thanks for an outstanding presentation. Do I understand that economic development is part of your current job?
Yes.
In Kansas, we've seen Extension sometimes challenged with merging an educational role with an economic or a business development role. Could you tell us more about your economic development work?
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying that business recruitment is a complete waste of time. And we're wasting lots and lots of money by doing it, especially in our rural communities. It's been really good in urban Utah. We're getting like Tyson Foods and Amazon and all these tech companies moving to our Silicon Slopes. But for rural Utah, we've been chasing rainbows for years and investing funds in these economic developers to go and, we need jobs. Let's go bring a company in. Well, we got a lower population. And we've got largely, a lot of times, it's not a technical workforce for these jobs. And so it's almost a complete waste of time. And so the approach we've taken in Utah is that we're investing in our people. And so we're connecting them with jobs that don't exist in their communities through remote work. And so we have a new program where they can access the program kind of synchronously and asynchronously, so they can complete modules on their own, but then it's experiential. It's like 4-H for adults, but online. And so they're learning remote work skills so that they can compete for all these new jobs where they're geographically independent. These jobs are portable. And what's great for rural is that a lot of times people do have skills, they just need that last mile training, and so it's like a month-long course, and we're focused on helping people in our rural communities stay in our rural communities, and more youth stay in rural communities. And if they have to leave for their education, that's fine, but at least they know that through remote work and through the technology that we have today, they can adjust maybe what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to go into engineering instead of like a liberal arts, But more and more, so many careers can be done remote. Many of you can work from home and get that grant written in peace and quiet at home. And sometimes it's a distraction to come into the office. And so figuring out those remote work policies. So we're training our businesses in our urban counties how to accommodate remote work. So it's not just for the tech people that customer service can do it, HR can do it, and we're teaching them to create this like a supply, and then we're working in our rural communities to create demand and skilling up our people. And then hopefully our short-term outcomes are like people are they're gaining knowledge, their attitudes changing, their skills and their aspirations, and then they start finding remote work, which then it spreads. And then as they have success, other people have success. And then we've just kind of started this. It's been a few years, but over the next several years, we'll start to see these changes in quality of life, job satisfaction, unemployment decrease. I mean, we have like a talent shortage in our urban communities, but then there's this like high unemployment in our rural communities. And so looking at that totally different, and then also spending time, it's not just adults, it's working with the youth and getting them, they're working on their growth mindsets, but also innovating and doing youth robotics, doing computer science. So being involved in the computer science pathway program with the National 4-H, that's another great thing. I think you are involved in that too. So, other questions? It's a long way up to these mics. Or you can just yell it out.
Earlier, and that is, we talk about the need of getting rid of things, being willing to quit some things. But yet, I think one of the problems we struggle with in extension is we have this very traditional base of people we've served for a very long time, and sometimes that impedes us from serving the innovators. And so, as an organization, how do you think we should work through? How do you find that balance between meeting the needs of the innovators out there, working with those people, while yet not giving up any of our traditional audiences?
Okay, so that was a great question. How do we serve the new but still maintain serving the tradition? And there is no balance. You just have to cut back. And that's the thing. That's the question. If people will miss it, if it's gone, our horse programs. They cost us the most money. They're the most exclusive. They're not inclusive programs, but yet they're tradition. And we put a lot of resources into them. And we realized we're only serving wealthy white girls. And it was it's kind of hard to justify that when the state legislature is looking at your funding and they're you need to be serving. We've got a growing Latino population that's up towards around 13%. And yet all of our time and resources and energy are into these our traditional programs. And so we just said, all right, we're still going to do that as long as volunteers step up. And we're no longer going to be running these programs for you. And lo and behold, people stepped up, but they weren't going to step up unless we stepped back. And so you have to. I mean, it's not a popular thing to say. And if you know our horse parents. I fear for my life as I walk to the cars, because then our 4-H agent's going to be like, well, he told me to, and I'm like, oh, and so you have to in order to it's a super unpopular decision, but once you rip the Band-Aid off, it's actually not that bad. And so again, traditions are seeds of apostasy, folks. So you got to be careful about doing what we've always done, because it's efficient. And we're good at it, and we're the best at it, but it's not always where we need to divert our limited time and resources. And you'll never have room for innovation if you always do what you've always done. And again, that's the riskiest things. I remember when I graduated college, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go start a business. And then my friends are like, I'm not doing that, it's risky. I'm gonna go work for the newspaper. Who's laughing now? Actually, he is, because I work for Extension, so I overworked and underpaid, but it's all good because I love it. And we all love it, and that's the best part of working in Extension, is having a team and the resources to do your best work and to innovate. And so feel safe innovating, and again, traditions. We're not saying we're not serving those traditional audiences and running the traditional programs. We just need to increase our capacity, and the best way to do that is through volunteers and focusing on volunteer training and development. So when people clap, that means you're supposed to get off the stage. So, any other questions? Oh yeah, there's one in the back.
I'd like to piggyback off of that last question. Sometimes the people that we serve are the innovators in their fields, and what they're doing is ahead of the science that we're supposed to be informing them with. And so how do we balance bringing good science to our constituents when they are doing things that are not necessarily based on science, but they're trying to innovate to stay in their game? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they're ahead of the science, and that can be like, hey, wait, you're doing something that's not research-based. It's not grounded in science. Well, that's the process. Involve them in the science. Go get that IRB approval and start involving them in the process and pilot and test. That's something that, I love doing. I love it when industry. So we started focusing on teaching people in rural communities how to connect to jobs. So I've got people who live in the ruralest parts of Utah, but then work for a New York City company. And okay, their hours kind of suck. They have to wake up a little bit earlier, but they get done earlier, and they get a New York City wage. So I have one person that comes to mind. They're a receptionist for a physical therapy office in New York. And they're making, she never made more than $12 an hour. Now she's like well over 30, and they love her, and she loves her job. And so that was what we were focusing on. And then we realized that employers, they were like, well, we have this talent shortage. How do we hire people in Utah? And there's we put in tax incentives if they hired remote workers. We realized none of them had remote work policies, and they didn't know how to do it. And so in this instance, we were like, okay, they wanted to, and then we found businesses that did have remote work policies. And so we started working with industry to develop curriculum to then teach other industry members how to apply these new business practices. And so we work together. I have I have all sorts of business managers that I'm working with in tech companies and non-tech companies, and then we're working together on developing and co-creating the curriculum. And they're I guess they're volunteers because I'm not paying them, and they're doing a ton of work for me. And so we're going through the whole innovation process and also research process of IRB approval. They're helping me develop instruments and everything. And so again, it's if they're out ahead of us, let's get up there with them and then be co-creating with them and then use our resources, because that's one thing that industry they appreciate so much is the fact that I'm spending time with them and that I'm using my university resources, and I can apply for grants that they can't apply for. And so I bring resources in and they bring their expertise, and it's just a great partnership. But a lot of times it's I've seen it, at least in Utah, and where it's people feel like they're competing with industry, and that's one thing we don't want to do. Is we want to work together. And generally, if we start bringing resources and our time and our energy and our interests to the table, they'll appreciate it, and they'll reciprocate. This is a time where it's you say a good joke. But I think we're out of time.
So the questions tell us when we're done. Did we have anybody that was going to claim that lost and found item? So somebody apparently did misplace their phone. It's got a silvery, glittery back on it, and okay, I think we have somebody that's looking to claim it. All right, good. Didn't want to get to the afternoon session and lunch and not have anybody claim the phone. Greg. It's up there. Thanks, Debbie. So as we move forward and kind of following up on some of what Paul has said, Greg and I would throw a few questions out for you as you're thinking about how we go about innovating, where we're going to go next. Thinking about this being a series of challenges. We had originally figured we would spend a little bit of time with this, but I think we're going to carry this idea over into some time that we've got tomorrow. But I wanted to throw the questions out for you anyway, and thinking about those challenges that we might be dealing with. That last question, I thought, I leaned over to Greg as the question came up and said, this is an opportunity for applied research. And then Paul said, this is an opportunity for applied research. And I felt really vindicated. But That's some of the integration that we think about with KSRE being research and extension. What can we do to try and make sure that we're pulling research into some of our extension work and extension into some of our research work? Can we address the challenge of stepping out of the routine, the comfort of the routine? Yeah.
And related to that, we all love this face-to-face interaction with our clientele, with each other, and everything. And we get all excited now with local producer meetings when we get 50 people show up there, at an FCS workshop where we get 20 people there. We pat ourselves on the back and say, people still want our activities. But the question is, how many people are we missing by delivering in that style? And because I can remember when I did stuff that was useful, when I was an ag economist specialist, when I was a specialist, I did useful things. But when I was an ag economist, if we had a producer meeting that was 50 people, that was a failure. And now it's kind of like, we've got 50 people, good for us. And so we really need, when we start thinking about innovation, one of the things that Paul said was, we got to be thinking about what the people we serve want. And when we talk about the people we serve, that's bigger than our actual clientele, because we serve the entire state, and we need to be more cognizant on that. Enough preaching.
So I think the points on this slide are really the same points that Paul was making during his presentation. How do we make the decision to pick something up? How do we make the decision to put something down? The biggest challenge is to know, it's that discernment, right? To know what is the right thing to pick up, what is the right thing to put down. How do we make that decision? We're going to have to come to the conclusions on how we go about that analysis, but the evaluation process that we should be following in all of our programs is going to guide us to that answer. It's okay to take risks. It's okay to take risks. I don't think that if you came to your leadership and said, I tried to innovate and it didn't work, that you're going to get punished for that. Just like I think it's okay to put something down. So don't let this stuff hold you back. So Paul talked about lean experimentation. Lean Six Sigma is a process analysis thing that's used in business. And Six Sigma just analyzes the heck out of a process. But Lean says, just do it. If it makes sense, just do it. And there's a lot of things we need to just get lean on and just do. So I think that's going to wrap us up for the morning. 11:30, about now, we have photos for the award winners. Where is Dan Donnert? Where do you want the photos at? Photos on the stage. So if you were an award winner, please come up to the stage for your photo. Be aware as we go into our lunch on your own time that we are not reconvening in the Union this afternoon. We will be in the Alumni Center across the street. So we'll see you over there.
And what are we doing there?
We'll see you over there at 1:30 for the World Cup.